Good morning, Mr. Darburn.
Good morning.
I've got a very long speech here. I'd be glad to read it if you'd like to hear it about how we're starting, but I think our time is better spent if I just sort of cut to the chase. As you know from working with the Finance Department, this is essentially a status quo budget year. That's because over the last couple of years we've seen more than $200 million in improvements, which is added staff and opportunities for virtually every department. Additionally, this year revenues are not likely to increase like they have in prior years for a couple of reasons, including a high number of appeals, property tax reappraisals. We're essentially asking departments to come in with a status quo budget this year. The exception being that some departments will have either legal requirements or new projects that have already been approved or contractual increases that are sort of unavoidable. That's really where we're starting from. If you could introduce yourself and your staff and give us a brief opening statement, I'm sure we'll have a few questions.
Again, Keith Durbin, Chief Information Officer and Director of the Information Technology Services Department. My colleagues and I really appreciate your time today, and we very much look forward to working with you. I have 5 members of our executive team with me today. Margaret Keck, Assistant Director for Communications and Infrastructure. Greg Nicholson, our Finance Manager. John Griffey, Chief Information Security Officer, Robin Mace, our Chief Data Officer, and Dawn Clark, our Assistant Director for Business Applications, Solutions, and Support. I also want to thank the staff of the Metro Nashville Network, who is recording these meetings, is running them live on nashville.gov, and will post them onto YouTube channels for the public consumption. And so with me, I've got Danielle Vaughn, John Ferguson, Jeremy Dorsey behind the camera there, and Michael Kilbane behind the camera right here. And I'd also very much like to thank Aaron Williams, our partner in Hub Nashville Project, for being here to support me today. So Mayor, ITS is a service organization that exists only to serve the needs of other departments and agencies. While we are not driving the buses, checking out the library books, or filling the potholes, our 148 employees are directly supporting those within Metro government that are doing those things. Our accomplishments over the past year have been made in partnership with other departments and agencies. With your office, the Council Office and Public Works, we rolled out Hub Nashville as a single point of contact for non-emergency resident and visitor requests and issues. With the Hub, in association with the Hub, we released Nashville, a simple data mapping tool that lets neighbors see where and how Metro is working for them in their neighborhoods by charting requests and status of those requests, like property violation, Hub Nashville requests, and building permits, and more. We brought additional transparency and accessibility to the Council through the implementation of updated access to Council agenda materials on nashville.gov through our legislative voting management system, as well as the new recording and broadcast of Council committee meetings. And we completed the work, which is ready for presentation to you, of the mayoral working group called Connected Nashville, which examined a myriad of vetted community plans, such as Nashville Next and In Motion, and has put forth a set of strategies to meet those challenges more quickly and effectively through the use of technology and data. Major projects that are currently ongoing within ITS. With finance, we're about a third of the way through the replacement of Metro's enterprise financial, accounting, and HR system. This is known as the R12 project. With Public Works, we continue to provide the communications technologies to allow for replacement of traffic signals with modern, manageable traffic controllers to help ease congestion on our streets. And we're working closely with MNPD on the development of a new public safety data center at the new police headquarters, which will provide additional redundancy for Metro's existing data centers, as well as supporting the public safety's data center needs. And these projects go on in addition to our primary job, which is keeping Metro's IT environment running. We serve over 60 Metro departments, agencies, and authorities at 395 Metro sites, managing over 800 servers, 5,500 desktop computers, 2,100 laptops, and 600 tablets across departments. In the last year, we responded to over 50,000 requests for IT assistance. We processed almost 67 million emails. We hosted 20 million visits to Nashville.gov, an average of 43,000 a day, and we recorded over 500 unique programs that were shown on Metro Nashville Network. So now turning from kind of where we are and what we're up to our budget request. We have, as requested, kept the ITS budget request flat with the notable exception of the request to fund Metro's non-discretionary contractual obligations for a total additional request of $2.6 million. So as a reminder, ITS is a centralized service provider, with ITS holding the contracts for many systems that cross Metro departments and agencies. So funding these contractual obligations in their system directly supports departments and agencies. That $2.6 million is broken into hardware and software components. So we are requesting of hardware increase of $538,000 for contractual obligations, which includes maintenance on Metro's very reliable network infrastructure, our information security infrastructure, firewalls and that kind of thing, and for the public safety 800 megahertz radio system, which ITS manages for our public safety departments and others, including NES and Vanderbilt. Then on the software side of these contractual obligations, we have software request of $2.1 million, which includes funding for our existing and new finance and accounting system licensing and hosting, licensing for Metro's core land and permit system called CityWorks, in licensing for the system that centrally manages Metro's public safety cameras for MMPD and other miscellaneous smaller contractual increases, which we have fully documented and discussed with finance. And with that, I really appreciate the time to talk with you today about our request. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and I'm very happy to answer questions.
Talia?
I want you to, because this has just come up before, talk about what relationships you might have with what I'm going to call quasi-Metro entities. I know in the past you've been asked to kind of collaborate with Metro schools on things. A recent opportunity, maybe even with the hospital authority, regarding some efficiencies that if they were to come and kind of connect with you on some things. Can you just kind of spend a couple minutes kind of talking where you see opportunities there?
I appreciate the question. So as I mentioned, we work with 60 departments, agencies, and authorities. I think the only authority we're actually not doing anything currently, though I may be mistaken, is the airport authority, or I think the airport authority is the only one. So we're doing some work with NES. We're running their 800 megahertz radio system. For schools, for example, they are on our ERP system. We work very closely with JIS department, sharing a lot of the core network capabilities and network security. Sheriff the same way. We're working very closely with MTA, for instance, on their new payment system as well. There are opportunities for more work. Our philosophy at this point is that we provide those core infrastructure commodity services, such as the network, such as security services, such as email. And one of those opportunities to move forward into a more collaborative approach is around the email space. One of the projects that we have coming that I didn't mention is a big migration from on-site premise-hosted email, our own servers, to the Office 365, which is cloud-based. So that's going to be an opportunity for us to work more closely together with JIS and the Sheriff's Office, as opposed to them needing to support their own kind of email services on-site as well. We also work really closely around information security policies and procedures and implementation of those things. So I guess some of the area where the model that ITS had in place for years still applies is that when under Mayor Purcell, they did a major consolidation of services. They pretty intentionally, very intentionally left, very vertical services, such as the police has their police information systems. They left the care and maintenance of those things from the programmers and the business analysts in those departments. I still feel like that makes the most sense because we'll never have the expertise, that vertical expertise of police direct knowledge of that system. Similarly for JIS and DCSO. So I think while there are opportunities, they are much more limited than they've been in the past.
And some of the ones, like you were talking about, asking about the hospital and some others, we have infrastructure in place that's fiber, and with that fiber optic cabling, we're able to help reduce some of the other agencies' costs that they're having to go outside to look at having to purchase those services from somebody besides us. And so if we already have that cabling in place, then we are able to assist with that. And so we're working with General Hospital to figure out how we might be able to help them. And we also have found some areas where we might be able to help MDHA with some of those things too, where we have that infrastructure in place. So.
And the other area, specifically mentioning the hospital authority, is they have been hosted in Metro's data center for probably 7 or 8 years now, and that's a major cost savings to them over in keeping money inside Metro as opposed to taking it out and at a commercial hosting provider.
Okay.
Brian?
I've got a couple of questions. Let's start with the hub. Can you summarize kind of where we are, what we've achieved so far, and mention some of the exciting developments that may be coming this year?
Thank you for that question,
Sure.
Brian. I appreciate it. So we have finished phase 1 of Hub, which is the role.
Lots of people, I think, don't even know what
Yeah.
that means. So what is the hub?
So Hub Nashville is Metro's central one-stop shop for non-emergency requests and issues. So if a resident or a visitor sees a pothole, they don't have to worry about, what's the number for me to call? Do I call the mayor? Do I call my council member? Rather, it's one number, 311. It'll just like 911 for emergency services, 311 for non-emergency services. It goes into a centralized call center, which is managed by Aaron Williams from the mayor's office, who has been the executive sponsor, where we have been the technical sponsors for that project. And what we've accomplished thus far is we've implemented a system based on Salesforce that when somebody calls that number, goes to nashville.gov, and fills in a form, those requests are brought into a central system, which are then dispersed to departments and agencies without the requester having to know who to go to. The requesters are able to track those online, those requests, the status of those requests, and should they give their name and information, they receive a response back when that request has been completed. It does a number of things for us. It allows a level of transparency that previously was very difficult to achieve with a lot of these types of requests. It provides accountability for departments because there are reports that are generated that are monitored by Aaron and departments and agencies about the status of the requests that come in. And it also lets departments trumpet the accomplishments. And one of the things that I recently have been very impressed with, and I think has gotten some media attention, is the volume of potholes that have been filled this year, facilitated in part through the hub, but through the great work of Public Works. And what was never been told without some obvious information that came from the hub and hub reports is how well Public Works actually responds to those things. So it gives the public the ability, and it gives people like Mark Sturdivant, our Public Works Director, the ability to come in and say, look, this pot work filling program is working the way it's supposed to. We're also really proud that from the get-go, we have been very important about including constituencies that may have been underserved in the past. So the hub is fully in English and fully in native Spanish. There are Spanish speakers at the hub call center, so we're also planning on reaching out to a couple of other additional language support in the near future. So currently we have the major department that is integrated directly with their workflow systems is Public Works. But in phase 2, which is due to be fully implemented this summer, we will be bringing in the codes department and stormwater as well with systems that are integrated. The other thing that we're really excited about is that we will also have our first Hub Nashville full mobile app on Android and iPhone that we expect to have out in time for the State of Metro address, because we really want you to, would really like for you to give some prominence to that good service, good new service for our citizens.
Open data. Ask you a question.
Sure.
Robin has done a really great job working with the data coordinators in the various departments. It's kind of developing that culture for understanding how to use data better to improve the way we deliver services and other functions. How would you evaluate sort of where we are with open data, and where might the priority be next year?
Sure. I appreciate that question too, Brian. I think we've got when looking at kind of peer cities around the country, I think we have a very progressive system. And let me just step back a little bit and make sure the mayor has a good understanding of what open data is and what open data isn't. It's been a commitment to by our previous 2 mayors since Carl Dean signed our first executive order 5 years ago now. And it's important to note open data is not just emails and documents. It's not working product. It's not sensitive information. It's not proprietary information. Rather, open data is data that is freely shareable, typically in kind of structured or tabular form, and many times the results of interactions or measurements. And a great example is, think of a spreadsheet that's detailing all the calls that have come into Hub, kind of categorized by the type of call, the status, and the description. So once you understand that, open data also does a couple of things very specifically per the executive order. It fosters transparency and trust with the public, is that you're putting these data out there. You're opening the kimono, as it were, to what are the property violations that are existing, what Hub Nashville requests have been made, and how quickly are we responding to them. And as a side effect, it cuts down on public records requests. And the best example is our most viewed open data set, which is the Metro salaries listing, salaries and positions, which in the past, the Tennessean has published that for years through public records requests. Well, now they don't need to bother anymore because it's on Nashville.gov. It encourages neighborhood engagement because they have the data, and as well as encourages investment by the community in the use of that data for commercial activities. We do a lot of work with Vanderbilt. We have an agreement around smart city technologies with Vanderbilt University and Tennessee State. They use that open data, as well as some of our partners that Robin works with, the Code for Nashville group. In the coming year, where we see this moving is, as Robin calls it, the data chase, working closely with departments and agencies on data sets that are a priority. A couple of ones that she's gotten recently, which are big, are restaurant scores, which they're actually national standards on how to publish restaurant scores, as well as air quality indices. Both of those came from the health department. She's also working with the police department, has recently worked up incident data, and is closing in on kind of calls data as well, so the public has a better picture of what that underlying data is that they can then take and map and do analyses on. I don't think she also is going to be working very closely with that group of data coordinators throughout departments and agencies that she meets with on a monthly basis to kind of make sure they understand the data that's available. One of the other items that is one of the priorities of the Open Data Executive Order is the reuse of data. Prior to Open Data, we had examples where one department was buying data sets from entities that it turns out were being provided to that entity by another metro department. So having that data reduces that redundancy of having to find data.
Okay, and I got one more. It's not the greatest time to try to implement a strategy that you've worked with a lot of stakeholders on in a status quo budget year.
Yes.
But given that Connected Nashville, is there any, I just kind of look out over the next 6, 12 months, is there any kind of low-hanging fruit that might be easier to implement to show some progress on that versus the other items that might be sort of bigger ticket investments?
Sure. No, absolutely. So one of the good things is there were a number of the strategies and the actual strategic items in Connected Nashville that we're actually making progress on now. A prominent example, May 1st, the transit referendum. There are a lot of items that we are predicting will happen should we move forward with transit to make sure that the technology associated with that transit gives us the best possible system we have. Otherwise, there is work that we are currently doing around continuing, as Margaret mentioned, our fiber network, which is kind of the core for all of that. We're also working a lot of the work Robin is doing around data and a data infrastructure. One of the things, major projects that, like some of the work that MTA is doing, even with the open payment system, results in tremendous amount of data. Likewise, for the new traffic controllers that Public Works has put in tremendous amounts of data. So we are working, Robin is working with a number of shareholders, including Vanderbilt, to set up at a proof of concept, as it were, low cost, kind of high tolerance for failure system by which we can get our feet with understanding how to ingest lots of data and then be able to use that data for decision making.
So we'll have a couple things we can point to.
We absolutely.
Okay.
And we also have a couple of projects. We just, with Vanderbilt, applied for a National Science Foundation grant that's going to take and using some of that data, and potentially, should we get that grant, help pay for some of that data capacity as well.
So the increases this year, the two contractual increases, I noticed that the software increase is much greater than the hardware increase. So is there some sense that as we move to more a cloud-based environment, that software will be our bigger increases versus hardware, or is it do we know that?
So it's a great question, because one of the things that's happened is as the organizations move to cloud services, you are taking things that potentially could have been a capital expense and squarely moving them into the operating side. Some of that is what we're seeing here. Because, again, the R12 system, some of that is hosted. Likewise, the aforementioned, move to Office 365 changes that model as well. So it is a very different approach, and over time, you will see a larger part of that, those services move into the operating.
And 4% can't be used for the operating part. I mean, typically, right?
Right. We'd have to ask legal if we could do that.
So one of the things, though, that I do think, one thinks, well, why do we need data centers? Well, there will always be systems and services that we will host in-house. There will always be things that we will do in-house. And so while, yes, you will see those operating costs rise, there will always be services that we and others will be providing ourselves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Durbin, and look forward to a good year.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Let me ask you one question.